At this time, I am pleased to welcome and introduce our next speaker, Napo Rumteen, who is Senior Vice President of Commercial Operations for Techion. Napo joined the Techion team in October of 2018, and today he's responsible for expanding the company's presence in the automotive industry, and doing so oversees all of Techion's marketing, sales, implementation, and partner success teams. Busy guy. Additionally, Napo is involved in developing Techion's worldwide strategic initiatives. He brings over 28 years of automotive sales and service experience to the table at Techion. And additionally, is an entrepreneur himself, founding a company, Carmine, in 2007, which was an online video training platform that identified best practices nationwide for OEM and dealership sales and service departments. He holds a US patent on algorithm-based mobile device video decision trees. And joining Napo is Joe Castellino, who is the service director at Stevens Creek Volkswagen in San Jose, California. Joe has over 15 years of automotive retail experience at top performing teams in fixed operations. Joe is also currently serving as service director at Stevens Creek Volkswagen, located in the heart of California's Silicon Valley. And in his role at Stevens Creek VW, Joe leads all efforts to completely digitize and modernize the parts and service department, including going completely paperless for all dealer processes and consumer experiences. Prior to his time at Stevens Creek Volkswagen, Castellino worked as a service advisor at the Chapman Automotive Group based in Phoenix, Arizona. Joe also studied law at the University of Arizona. Napo, Joe, welcome aboard. Take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate it. Really excited to present this in this forum video. My name is Napoleon Rumteen. I go by Napo for short. And on screen, you see my email. So if anyone wants to contact me, feel free to do so. Would love to connect via LinkedIn. I will shortly formally introduce my co-host, Joe. I want to save it for the dramatics, but he's a very special operator and one of the most progressive thinkers in the space. So I think you'll get a kick out of hearing from him. Again, when this event was brought up to me, I was really excited because I know the focus is on people. And so I thought about what topic would be great, obviously relevant to the company that I work for and what we do. Being part of a technology company, it just made sense to talk about how technology intersects with people, both your customers, your employees, and my company's really deeply involved in doing this right now as we go to dealers, and we're an end-to-end platform. We are specific. People correlate us to a DMS space, but the platform is so much beyond that. But when we go into dealers and we are implementing technologies, DMS and beyond, there's such a heavy focus on personnel and so much on change management. And after all, I firmly believe, being in the business for such a long time, the car business is a people business. And even though there's a significant trend that's increasing towards remote and digital communication, transactions, more automation, in this business, you still have to know people and create the right environments for them and help facilitate and enable them to have that positive and meaningful experience. Again, both as customers and employees. So with that, when I look to provide solutions to our dealer partners, it always starts from an area of improvement. So we take the approach of what problems need solving. And it's usually the first question that we ask. And we travel nationwide talking to dealers. And the three areas that it comes down to is technology, employees, and customers. And we begin with technology, specifically outdated technology. It's funny because we've actually had dealers tell us they've hired really good talent and they come in and then sometimes they look at the platforms that they're going to be working with and they quit. And that's on one end of the extreme. And on other ends of the extremes, you have more serious issues like privacy and compliance that are at risk, and how to adapt and adjust to some of those needs that are happening right now. But when we look at the technologies, they're outdated, they're not as updated, and it really does have an impact on the way people work. And especially when you take into consideration the disjointed integration pieces from the volume of technologies that dealerships use. And if I go to another NADA or JD Power and Associates and I hear an expert say dealers have to embrace technology, I kind of want to march those people into a dealership and say, look how many different technologies these people are using. But the problem is when it's integrated or tries to be integrated, it has that Frankenstein model. You know, Frankenstein's got a leg from here, an arm from there, an ear, a nose, it walks, it talks, but it just doesn't feel and function right. And so a one seamless platform, or as much of a seamless platform you can have to operate your end-to-end operations, is really the critical solution for this disjointed integrations. And of course, when you've got disjointed integrations, there's a lack of visibility, and visibility to your business, visibility from department to department, and that really impedes dealerships' processes and workflows. And then so they start creating different reportings and workarounds to be able to try and make sense of their operation. The next part that we get a lot is the employees. The employees want to have a sense of purpose. It's really important because they want to solve problems and they want to make a difference. And they also want to be in the know. John touched on it at the tail end of the last segment. It's really, really important. They want to know the whys behind certain things. And the days of, you know, it's smart to be stupid or keep it simple, stupid, and some of these cliches that we've heard in decades in the past, that simply doesn't exist anymore. And then lastly, it's really important for employees to work for an outcome and not output. And there's a big difference in that. You know, you see a lot of people say, oh, this person's a high output individual, or they work really hard. And look, we've all been there. Sometimes we get buried in meetings all day, and then all of a sudden we come up for air and there's 3 to 5 things that were absolutely critical that we couldn't get to. And there's an old saying, if you want to stay busy, there's enough you can find to keep yourself busy. So the key is every day and how the environment we provide for our people and enable them. Are they working towards an outcome, or is it strictly output? And that makes a really huge difference in the employee's psyche and their sense of accomplishment. And then, of course, last but not least, I'm going to use the word customer as generic, but I know some people refer to customers as guests or consumers. So please indulge me for using the terminology customer. The customers want efficiency. They want to know what they're doing is productive, even if it means coming in and, you know, servicing a vehicle or anything that's asked of them to execute, filling out a credit application, as long as it's productive at the right time. And speed is power. If you have speed, you absolutely have power, and they want to speed everything up. And it's very important for them. And customers also want to be in the know. It's really, really important for them. There's nothing scarier to any individual in terms of not knowing what's going on and the way you're being led. You know, years ago, I used to hear in retail, go control your customer. Well, customers are not people to be controlled. Customers like the way you're leading them. They'll follow. And that's really how it should be. So when they're in the know and they understand the direction in which you're going to guide them, they will be more amicable. And there's a significant reduction in friction that you would see, whether you're on the sales side of the operation, the service side, and again, also the internal customers. And with that, I'll begin with a personal story if you'll indulge me. So I have a Range Rover, and I called Range Rover dealership just last Thursday. And the wheels were scuffed up from parking badly, and I own that. And I purchased this is the dealership that I originally purchased my vehicle from. And I purchased a wheel and tire package. And, you know, it came with the original purchase, and excited to have it. And I was excited to actually say, oh, now I can apply it. But I've owned the car for almost 2 years. Wasn't sure how long the warranty was for. So when I called the dealer and I spoke to the service advisor, and I said, you know, can I schedule an appointment? You know, I'd like to see what the expiration is on my wheel and tire protection. And the service advisor replied by saying, well, I can schedule an appointment for you, but I don't know when your warranty expires. So I said, well, I bought the warranty from you. It's a service call. It's a service warranty. You don't have visibility to it. And the advisor turned to me and said, yeah, crazy, right? And, you know, of course, with my history in retail and understanding what some of the technology platforms are, I immediately recognized that service advisor does not have visibility to what was sold on the sales side. And of course, that's a problem we want to solve. But I totally understood, and I was sympathetic. And then I asked, okay, well, what's procedure? It said, well, you need to check with finance, and I'll transfer you. So I get transferred to a phone tree. And in my mind right now, I'm taking a step backwards because that's how I got to the advisor to begin with. Now I select from options. I'm connected to a salesperson. Salesperson transferred me to finance. And of course, I get a voicemail. I leave a message. Hour later, I get a call and they confirm the warranty with me. And then I had to call back and schedule a service appointment because now I knew what my warranty looked like, et cetera. And I just kept on thinking about this first of all, from the service advisor's experience. And I can tell he felt a little embarrassed. It was such a norm that he had to deal with. And when he just said, yeah, crazy, right? I just realized the limitations that they have in terms of visibility and how that affects the customer experience. And of course, for me as a customer, the fact that I needed to hunt down the information was a significant compromise in efficiency. And of course, poor use of time, which was very difficult for me to accept, but I understood this and I was going through it. So, with that said, having been in the business for a very long time, since 1993, and having spent half my years in retail, all my best friends are car dealers, I get it. And I understood, I got the technology limitations and the effects of it. So respectfully, if you have this lack of visibility in your operation, I highly recommend reevaluating for that user experience, both internally and externally. And with that, I'd like to transition with an experience, and I'm big on storytelling, and I feel like that is a significant part of an experience. And I'd like to take on a service experience and take you through a service journey and something that's really tangible and specific. And even if you're not part of the service department, you'll appreciate the way this story is told and some of the effects that it has. So again, with your permission, I'd like to take you through the service journey and highlight the power of technology and how it affects all the people that are involved. Now, what I'm sharing with you right now is an end-to-end service experience. And it starts up top. If you look at this as a wheel and you look at it from a clock perspective, it starts with a service need. It starts with a customer having a need for service and reaching out. Or if they've been contacted from a dealer BDC, what have you. If there's a service need, it moves on to scheduling an appointment or walking in. There's an opportunity to sell, and we like to put a selling opportunity right up front with the scheduling part, which we'll talk about, and I think you'll appreciate what's involved in that experience. Dropping a key and having an express service, having a connected experience with a video, with a monitor outside to welcome you upon your arrival, all the way from mobile check-in to digitizing the MPVI process, which is a tremendous part of your operation and a big revenue source, through the collaboration of external, internal texting, having a payment function that you could do it remotely and digitally, a guest portal that's like a personal URL, and of course, an express pickup. So we're going to take you through this journey. And along the way, I want to be able to address some of the specifics that are involved. And I think one thing that you'll appreciate now is the introduction of Joe Castellino, Service Director for Stevens Creek Volkswagen. Again, Mike did a really nice job of introducing him, but Joe and CheckIn have been partners for a little over 2 years. We've come to know each other. He's really boosted and shot up the ranks as a VW operator. He's ranked 5th in the nation. They do approximately 80 to 100 ROs. He'll share more statistics with you as we go, but he's an incredibly progressive and forward-thinking service director. He's arguably, as Mike said, the first dealer nationwide to go totally paperless. Don't get me wrong, they still have one printer in case someone insists on having something printed out. But their experience can be completely done paperless, and he'll talk about that. I'm not saying everyone here should go paperless, but with the right technologies, the possibilities are endless. And just to be upfront, he's not a Techion employee. He's just a great dealer partner, but he's taken technology and he's done his own thing with it, and he's maximized it. And he's happy to share his experiences with those of you who'd like to be able to connect with him and reach out to him. But I've asked Joe to join and chime in as we go through this journey and experience of a service experience with this technology and how he's achieved great operational efficiency. And we're talking increased productivity, better accountability, higher revenues, lower costs, and great customer satisfaction, again, both internally and externally.
Hey guys, I'm Joe. So yeah, let me start with the story that I think will resonate with all of us. So right within maybe about a month of me rolling out this technology, and one thing that's really cool, and you're going to see in this story that it fully is end to end, and it's fully like encompassing of everything. It's all on one platform, and that's huge, as you'll see in this story. But nonetheless, we'll get to it. So it's a 2020 Atlas. The customer had bought her car, but 3 days prior, and it starts leaking oil. So she calls to our BDC and says, "Hey, my 2020 Atlas is leaking oil, and I've got two kids in the car with me. I need to get to practice. I need to get on with life. I need another Atlas loaner. I just bought this car, and an onslaught of other problems that all of a sudden arose on why this was inconvenient for her." And luckily for us, our BDC agent had the foresight to type in all of these notes into the appointment. Um, and so when she pulled in maybe 15 minutes later, with our technology that we use, she comes into the service drive. There's an RFID. It greets her. It says, "Welcome." We'll call her Sarah. So welcome, Sarah. Your advisor, Mike, will be with you. And I believe the story was that the call center put any advisor. So it pinged every single advisor that an advisor would be with you shortly. But with the technology we use, the RFID tags, it tagged the customer, pinged everybody's personal, not personal cell phone, but cell phone, and said, "Hey, Sarah's here for an appointment." Well, you could click through and instantly know exactly what was going on. So our advisor, Mike, happened to pick it up, and he sees, okay, Sarah just bought this 2020 Atlas. It's leaking oil. She's got two kids in the car, and instantly had all this information at his fingertips. So he runs up and he goes, "Hi, Sarah." And she looks a little confused, like, okay, I didn't have to deal with, who are you? What are you doing? And all these typical questions she gets asked. So he goes, "Hey, Sarah, my name's Mike. I understand you just bought this car. I understand it's leaking oil. I understand you have two kids in the car. I don't have another Atlas loaner here for you, but I've got a Jetta. And you can take that and move on with life for right now. And we can continue. We can look at the car, but you can move on." And she looks confused that she didn't have to repeat herself. She's just, okay. She calls her husband and says, "Hey, you don't have to come get me. No, they don't have an Atlas, but they've got a Jetta, and that'll do for now. We can get Tim to practice, and we'll deal with the car later." So great. She moves on with her life, and we do what every dealer does. Instantly, we rush the car in, we take a look at it. What could it possibly be? It's an oil pressure switch. So we text her and tell her, "Hey, it's an oil pressure sensor that we've got to replace. We don't have it in stock. It'll be here first thing tomorrow morning. I'll have an Atlas here in the evening if you want to trade out." Well, she texts back, "Well, if it's going to be done in the morning, I'll just keep the Jetta and then, let me know when it's done." So sure as everything, at 7:30 in the morning, part shows up, and we do our thing. We install it, and we send her a text. Car's ready. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, when she gets here, she's demanding to speak to me. And you can imagine, as any service director, any service personnel is enthusiastic about talking to somebody who's demanding to speak with them, because I'm thinking, great, the first thing I'm going to do is get, yelled at, some sort of barrage of anything. But nonetheless, she comes and talks to me, and she tells me, "You know what? I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with this whole experience. And you turned a really bad experience into a real positive one. It was just easy." She goes, "I made one phone call, and everybody knew what was going on from there. I didn't have to take time out of my day. I wasn't calling for updates. I could see the status of what was going on with my car. I could text Mike when I wanted to. Like, I texted him at 8:30 in the morning just to confirm the car will be ready. And he texted me back in a couple of minutes saying, yeah, they're going on a test drive." She was that right there. I don't care what happens. You've got my business. You have it. Like, if you could treat that bad situation with such perfection, imagine what you could do when I wanted to come in. And that story really resonates to single platform ease of use. And it speaks to a lot of different components on how life just went and how that experience was for everybody involved. The call center agent, she got kudos for doing the right thing. Mike, the advisor, wasn't met with, "Hey, how can I help you? What are you here for?" Things like that. You're talking about just a seamless transaction, personal greeting. So it was it was easy for both of them. The introduction of technology in that appointment really, or in that whole service appointment, really speaks to what our customers expect. That's
great. Thank you, Joe. And you'll realize we're big on storytelling, and we will like to tell the story. And we'll start from the beginning with so that was one, but we'll start with the beginning of the process, which is a simple appointment process. Now, we're really big on mobile, and we definitely promote the use of mobility. Joe does it as well in his dealership, and that's frankly what consumers want. So from an appointment scheduling perspective, your technologies should be very configurable. You should be able to have your technology configured in a way that shows the right images that you want, shows videos, has an interface that's real simple, and make the point of entry simple. Very Google-like, as you see here, where there's a call to action and it's very keen. It's the service appointment you can access with a phone number or an email. Once you use a two-step authentication process, now you'll be able to step in and schedule your appointment. And across the top, you'll know all along the way where you are from a technology perspective. But I'd like to draw your attention to the bottom here, where, again, your system should be configurable. This particular example is one where a dealership can have two options. Some dealers say, I want the least amount of clicks and touch points for my customer to get in and be able to schedule an appointment. So there's a quick booking opportunity where you can click once, select the next time and date, and you're in. However, we also have some dealers saying, well, I don't necessarily want that in my service department. I want to know what the job is so I can schedule accordingly, which makes sense. So some remove that. You have the ability to go through a traditional process of scheduling an appointment. And as you do, when you're completing with your appointment, you have the ability to add it to your calendars. It should all be connected as a connected experience. The ability to put it in your Google Calendar, your Outlook, see the picture of the advisor you're going to work with that has a sense of familiarity, what type of transportation needs there are, locations, directions, etc. So by making this mobile friendly, you can absolutely train your customers when it's a simple technology to be able to get your customers to spend more time scheduling online versus calling in or walking in. And Joe, you've got some experience in terms of how you've worked with your customers to get them to adapt more to online scheduling, which I think is something where most dealers would like to go because it tends to be automated and less manual effort from the dealership staff.
Yeah, actually, this is something that we do, and we integrate this as part of our sales process. But one thing I really want to touch about here, Napo, that I don't think you put enough emphasis on is how easy it is to make an appointment and how fully transparent it is. So it's 4 steps, basically. First step is just logging on to either the app or the website. The second step is identifying yourself. The third one is just selecting what you want to do. Quick booking, great. Like, I want an oil change, I want something, or if you really want to type in notes. But fourth is like your Amazon buy it now or just pay for it. You select whatever time you want. And one thing that I love about this system is that's intuitive to say, hey, no, you can't do this work at 4 o'clock in the evening because you can't get it. You can't complete it the same day. So based on a series of selections that the customer chooses, it would offer the right appointment. And I love that for this fact. But what we do, and going to Napo's thing with our customer process, we use our sales team as the intro for the appointment. What we'll do is while they're waiting for finance, when they're purchasing a car, is we make a process out of here. Let's set you up. Here's your card. Here's this. This is how easy it is to book an appointment. And we do it on both mobile or the computer, whichever the customer's comfortable with. We show them how easy it is. What we'll do here is we're tagged with RFID. I know a lot of dealers are, but our RFID is integrated to our appointments, integrated to the cars, integrated to the whole thing. So what happens is we book an appointment online, first appointment, and and make it, and so it's easy to go.
Actually, thanks, Joe. RFID will pick up in the next step, but in the following steps. But the initial next step, when we have someone scheduling an appointment, what we truly believe you can do is take that e-commerce approach Yeah, service is kind of like going to the dentist, right? You want to get in, get out with as little work as possible, and you don't want to spend more money. And so sometimes people are apprehensive and they don't want to be sold, and customers and service advisors are apprehensive to try and sell. But we believe that if we move the selling process early and take an e-commerce approach, a very Amazon-like recommendation, I mean, it's already proven to work, and we've seen this work in automotive as well. If an advisor asks for someone business more than twice, it might feel like pressure. But from a digital platform, if you suggest service or recommendations and you do it multiple times, people are likely to click and purchase, and that's proven to be true. And so what we like to do is right at the scheduling time is showcase opportunities for people to be able to select and opt for services. And look, this is something that's not limited to providers, but it's definitely something that you should have within your organization, because it opens up the world of opportunities through all your service customers, and it reduces friction significantly. When we talk about popular services, it's driven by two things. It should be driven by machine learning and artificial intelligence. I know that's a term that's used pretty loosely. People a lot of times tout that. It's really hard to have machine learning and artificial intelligence if your technology is not connected and operating in real time. If it has to push and load overnight or every 4 to 6 hours, it's not as effective. But if you've got an end-to-end machine learning platform, it can study and improve itself and be able to read and study what people opt for, what services are needed, make suggestions. But also you should have the ability to go and manipulate some of these offerings and be able to put your own, whether it's a detailing service, whether it's a promotion to sell new vehicles, whether it's a promotion to buy vehicles right now when there's a shortage. You can make it very easy and be able to advertise it via a price, a discounted price or not. And Joe, I know this is something that you really value and had a lot of success with. You're probably our most successful dealer in terms of utilizing an Amazon-like approach with the transparency that it's offering and the ease of use.
Yeah, I mean, I get a real kick out of the ML. I really love this this technology. So my story to this is I've got two really good experiences with this. So the very first customer that bought his 100,000-mile service also bought a serpentine belt, and I can't tell you why. I can tell you that we did not recommend it, but somewhere somebody told him he needed a serpentine belt, so he bought one. And then what happened is the next guy that wanted a needed a 100,000-mile service, the technology had said, customers who bought this also bought this, and it offered up a serpentine belt. And that guy bought it, and that guy bought it, and the next guy bought it, and the next guy bought it, so much so that my serpentine belt sales went up 201% in 1 month. VW called me and said that you've moved more serpentine belts in 1 month than you have all of last year. Like, what are you doing? And they sent an auditor down here just to see the process when I told them, like, this is what's going on. So much so that they didn't believe me. So when the accessory option for Atlas and Tiguan privacy covers or tonneau covers came out, VW asked me to put it on this, which is where we were able to like force it or choose what we wanted. And I sold the most in the region, and not by a little bit, by 35% more than the next dealer around me, which was phenomenal results on this.
And Joe's being kind. He also has driven a lot of his own offerings, anywhere from filters to detailing services. And we've had dealers get very creative, and we've seen them do a lot of great things with suggested services. They've sold accessories from parts department, promoted fundraising events. I mean, you name it. You have a platform digitally for all of your service customers on a regular basis to be able to put things in front of them, not just once, but multiple times throughout their service journey. And again, it's suggestive. So transitioning from there, and this goes to that RFID technology that Joe was talking about, is vehicle recognition. The modern technologies that dealerships use right now is not just about software, but it connects software with hardware. And again, there's multiple providers of this service, so this is not self-serving for myself, but it is something that I would highly recommend for all dealers to take a look at if they want to have that complete experience for the consumers. It's incredibly connected, and it really provides a warm welcome, because when someone drives onto your lot, immediately they're recognized and there's a welcoming message for them. They get pushed a notification acknowledging that they've arrived. And then it also pings everybody else within the organization on their screens, on their phones, letting them know who's there. And one of the things that I love that a dealership shared with us, it's incredibly powerful, is the hospitality element of it. They train their dealership staff to really hone in that when these notifications come up, by the time the customer is getting out of their vehicle and they want to come and approach. Now, instead of having greeters and so forth, their advisors immediately know who's coming in. They know what the services are, and they have a line that they train their staff to say, "Welcome, Mr. Smith. We've been expecting you." And they immediately talk about the service needs that the customer has. And the feedback from dealers has been, wow, that's been incredible, because you exceed customer expectations when they don't know you, but you know them. And you're able to greet them and you know more about their needs, that immediately gives them a feeling of comfort, as opposed to starting, from scratch and having to explain everything. And I'll tell you, there's an old saying when it comes to the customer satisfaction: you don't have to be the best at what you do. You just have to be your customer's favorite. And if you are their favorite, you win. Whether it's in service, whether it's having a inventory of vehicles on the new car side, doesn't matter. As long as you're their favorite, you will win. And that doesn't mean you have to be the best. But when you can do things like this from a hospitality perspective and connect your entire system end to end, that's when you really tap into the power of technology and enable your people. Joe, anything you want to add for that?
This is really cool. So this is where I was explaining what we do with our sales process. Very much like Napo just said, in our sales process, we when the car comes off the truck, we tag the RFID immediately, so it's associated with that car. When a customer purchases that vehicle, we transfer their information into the computer system. RFID is automatically associated with it. So what we do to help drive appointments through the online portal and just our own retention is we book the appointment. We have two versions of it. We have the first appointment, which truly is the vehicle's first appointment, but we have something for the initiation or the initial appointment. So what happens is when we see that, salesman will say, "Hey, Sarah, you bought this car. Let's go check out how this thing works." So they'll book the first initial appointment, if you will. They drive under our service drive. The RFID tags them. They'll select it with a particular service advisor or any service advisor, whichever the sales consultant chooses. But then they get a personal greeting. And then our advisors are trained to come up there and say, "Hey, Sarah, we just saw you bought this Jetta. Congratulations. Welcome to the family." And they get to see that whole process. They get to see that, wow, I've never met this guy. And he already knows who I am. He knows this is my first, I'm driving through. He knows I'm just about to buy this car. What that's done for my retention, my customer retention is insane. I'm at 84% customer retention. That is insane. And I blame this technology for that.
Next comes the customer check-in, right? As soon as the customer is greeted, your ability to have your staff function on a mobile device is incredibly powerful. And this absolutely resonates with my experience that I had when there was no visibility from sales to service. It was very frustrating. But one of the things that absolutely empowers your advisors is when everything they need to know about the customer is right there at their fingertips, including what their warranty is, copy of their driver's license, what extended warranties did they buy, the ability to do a walk around and take pictures and videos and be able to store those. It really is operational efficiency at its best, and the ability to operate off of LTE in case there's a power outage. And we've heard that story before, dealers saying, we lost power, we've got people on the drive, we had to turn on cars with their lights so we can have some visibility. But a mobile application that can shift into LT will allow you to be able to write up the customer, be able to check them in, and then all of that sits in a queue and it'll push into your system once the power comes back on. And the ability to check in a customer, even if it's remote, at their house, at their place of work. It really does create a significant amount of power and ease of use versus carrying around with a tablet, but it really provides an increase in productivity, a high increase in accountability, especially when you have reporting that can drill into anything that's digitized, that gets activated with a push of a button. You should be able to run a report and be able to see the progress on. And especially from an expense perspective, it reduces expense drastically because you are able to move much faster. And I know when we spoke with Joe prior to having a mobile check-in process, his drive used to be stretched out all the way to the street. And maybe Joe, you could touch a little bit on how the mobile check-in has been able to help your business in terms of speed and efficiency.
Well, yeah, and actually, I'm excited to talk about this slide because after listening to Adam and John speak, this here really speaks to like the employee, right? Like this talks about having, the technology on the drive, the culture, flexibility, all of this stuff encompassing to what Adam had said. And, to John's thing, like, how would you like to? What options would you like? If you want to come in and sit down, great. But if not, you've got the LTE, you've got the phone, you've got an organic conversation, right? With a cell phone. And I chose the cell phone over tablets because I like the organic conversation. At some point, it's just me and Adam talking, right? It's just two guys talking about what's going on with his car. And I come out and I make a couple of notes. But this is what my employees are expecting. This is what they're experiencing. This is the stuff that really gets the employees on our side when they buy into working for our company, because they look at this technology. What it's done for our customer experience is tremendous too. So prior to having a mobile check-in, we used to have an old paper and, okay, we'll write you up, we'll do this, we'll check you in, let's go sit down, let's do this. Being the 5th largest VW dealer in the country, we're servicing anywhere from 40, 80 to 100 cars a day. My drive isn't that big. My service drive isn't that big. So what would happen is constantly San Jose's finest would sit outside waiting to give us tickets as soon as we backed up onto the street and blocked traffic. And, we're rushing cars in, we're rushing cars out. Well, with this technology, I was able to write 20 cars in, God, I forget the stat. It was like 20 cars in 8 minutes with 4 advisors, something crazy like that. But the experience is amazing in the sense that you don't have to come in, you don't have to sit down. It's not a time-consuming process. It's, hey, Adam, I understand you're a busy guy. If you want to we'll talk real quick about your car, sign something here on the technology, and then you get to move on with life. It's great for this. It's great for all facets of the business.
So obviously the next steps that come in are the presentation of menu selling. Again, this is something where we want to reduce the friction point. So we want to lay it out, have options, side-by-side comparisons. But again, you want to be able to offer those popular services. They're recommended multiple times. Now the customer would see it a second time. They saw it once when they scheduled the appointment. Now, when it's upon check-in, customers also purchased. And look, many of you who go on social media sites, you click on that one ad, whether it's a pair of shoes that you like or a tchotchke that you liked. If you clicked on it, it's going to get served up next time you go on social media again. And it's not annoying. In fact, it'll catch you, whether it's the 3rd or 4th or 5th time. If you like it, you will go ahead and click and you buy. And e-commerce has proven that this is a very effective method. And we've got dealers that we've seen that have had a lot of successes from it. And it's taken a significant amount of pressure off of the advisors from having to sell. But anywhere from being able to do the work, sign off on it, and maintain communication and correspondence, whether it's your staff needs to have internal communication throughout the organization or external, all that should be able to be facilitated with that mobile phone. Your advisors are on the go. Your technicians are on the go. In fact, everyone in the company should have the ability with their mobile phone to be able to engage and communicate internally and externally with the phone within that platform so that all of your communications recorded, your voicemails are transcribed, and that it can always stay with the system so you can be able to track it and go back and reference it. So when we talked about a connected experience, once the customer has checked in their vehicle, many of them will wait there and they'll look to wait while the work is being done. In addition to having the external monitor for a customer to see and the advisors and managers to be able to see when someone's arrived, but the ability to have something in your service lounge that can speak to your customers is absolutely powerful. And here you're able to drive recommendations, notify your customers when vehicles are ready, what position they're in. Again, customers want to be in the know, K-N-O-W. And this is an incredibly powerful way to be able to drive offers in the bottom of your screen. And on the far left-hand side of it vertically is being able to let people know where they are in their process. And then finally, to wrap this up, is the payment. The ability for your customers to remotely, you can push them pictures and videos of services that are needed. They can immediately look at it from a cart, be able to add it, purchase, get the suggestive selling again, make the payment online, and be able to have access, be able to have access to engage with their advisor right away, see where their car is in service, and then have an immediate feedback loop. This is great on the far right where you're able to gauge their sentiment before you have to wait for CSI, which is a lagging indicator. Again, get your information in real time. So as an operation, your team can react. And then last but not least, when it comes to pickup, there's the express pickup capability that's really, really powerful. And I know this is one of the parts that Joe really likes to talk about.
I love this. And please excuse the crude set up for the Express Key Lounge, but this is as quick as I could get this off the ground. This was two and a half weeks ago. But this is something that with the technology that Napo's company CheckIn provides, that I was able to change into my customer experience and alleviate a lot of stress from my employees. So what the Key Lounge is, it's just exactly like John had said, how do you want to do business? Once you've paid through the technologies that Napo's talked about, where you can pay online, we then call you, text you, alert you, somehow say, hey, since you've paid online, do you just want to skip the process and I'll have your key in this Key Lounge where we text you a secure key box? You go, your key's in there. If you say yes, you put your cell phone up to that reader, it shoots your key out and your car's literally parked adjacent from this kiosk and your car's right there. You can just take off and go. My customers have raved about this. I've stood out on the service drive and asked them if they wanted to talk about it. They love that it's semi-ghetto because they understand that it's in the beta mode of it, but it's cool. The technology is there, and this is evolving to both what our customers want and what our employees want. There's no line at the cashier waiting to pay for an oil change. It's there.
Thanks, Joe. So this end-to-end service experience, and forgive us if it came across somewhat of a sales pitch, but it is a sales pitch to embrace technology and empower your people. And whichever technology you decide to go with, by automating it, you are able to create significant efficiencies, drive up your revenues. And I've got to say, really proud. The last shot is Joe's operation. Joe, why don't you go ahead and...
Oh my gosh, I am so proud of this. I've been paperless for 5 weeks, guys, and I couldn't be more proud. This got infectious. My employees, I love this slide. So I had a warranty audit. They come in, I tell them the process I want to do. We make a couple tweaks and figure out that we can absolutely delete paper, which is amazing because now everybody's on the same page. Everybody's, typing notes into the computer. Everybody can see everything. So there's no, well, who's got this, who's got that, from the parts department, the technician, the advisor, to our customer service consultants, to our BDC agents, to anybody. My GM can. We can all see what's going on. So as we're lining up the printers, I love this slide. We're lining up the printers. We deleted 16 out of 17 printers. I kept the one that Napo had said because there's always that one person that needs something printed or whatnot. But we deleted all these printers. We put them on a pallet, and all the technicians, everyone around me was clapping as Denise, that's my parts manager, she's hauling them away to the trash. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. They were clapping. People were saying, can we office space this thing? I mean, the toner, the amount of real estate, the amount of brain damage that this paper is conditioned us to follow, where I've got to go get this stamp. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. This single-handedly has attracted so many phone calls, people. I had a technician try to get recruited and he was no, I'm good. Like, I've got all this cool technology here. I don't care if you're going to offer me more money. Look what I get to work with. Like, I don't have to walk as much as you do. I don't have to deal with all this stuff. Like, I can just push this from my cell phone or push this from my desktop, and it's there. It's instantaneous. My customers love it. My employees love it. It's phenomenal. And my usage rate, granted, guys, I've only used this for what, 5 weeks now, is been all over the place in the sense that some days it's 84%, some days it's 62%. But it's there, and I haven't even really advertised it yet. I mean, it's just, I'm literally shooting a commercial about it. It's going to say, why save a tree when I can save a forest? You know, I'm talking about 10,000 pieces of paper a week to less than 500 a week. We're talking about all the different toners that we used to talk. We're talking about all of the different printers, the stamps, the pens, the papers, the staplers, the filing cabinets, all of that stuff. You know, it's so well adapted. I'm shocked as how fast it took off, but it got infectious to where my employees are asking me, well, can I throw this away? Well, do we need this file? Do we need that file? Do we need this binder? Do we need that? And I just got to the point where I was like, throw it away. Screw it. If we need it, we'll buy it again. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, just, we'll chuck it. This was really fun to go paperless. 100% warranty compliant, 100% bar compliant in California. Like, we were compliant.
Thank you, Joe. I could tell you're slightly enthusiastic about this. I know we're over by about a minute, so I'll wrap with the following. I know Joe is very passionate about what he's doing, and he's really driven a lot of these. If you want to contact him or even see his operation, I know he's more than happy, if you don't mind, Joe, me speaking for you, but I know he's willing to offer anybody who'd like to visit. But please invest in your people and make sure that it's things that are going to create that level of efficiency. With that, we conclude, and back to you, Mike.
Thanks a lot, Napo, and Joe, you as well. Gosh, Joe, it sounds like you should be advertising going paperless and office space style destruction of printers on your career site. Really connect with the local workforce. But Napo, thanks for bringing it home and tying it back to people strategy. Look, you pointed out at the beginning of the conversation that we want employees and we want technologies that work towards delivering outcomes, not just output. In the way automotive technology is evolving today, like Techion's tools, they're helping support a type of interaction and output or outcome that requires a completely different type of person, different type of skill set, right? To navigate that technology, navigate the customer journey. So it really all boils back down to how this evolution in our business operations is necessarily what's driving the evolution of the modern workforce in retail automotive today.